Welcome to Chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, spanning shlokas 1 through 38. This is where the battlefield falls silent, not because the war has ended, but because a warrior has broken down. Arjuna, one of the greatest fighters in history, drops his bow and refuses to fight. And in that moment of collapse, one of the greatest conversations in human history begins. Krishna does not offer comfort, he offers clarity. What unfolds across these 38 verses is nothing less than a complete framework for living. How to understand who we are, how to handle our emotions, and how to act with purpose in a world full of uncertainty. Key takeaways from this chapter. From emotional breakdown to inner clarity. Chapter 2 is not just ancient philosophy, it is a practical guide for modern life. When Arjuna falls apart on the battlefield, Krishna meets him exactly where he is. And through their dialogue, we receive timeless lessons about the nature of the soul, the inevitability of change, and the power of doing our duty with a steady mind. The first lesson is about managing emotions. When Arjuna sees his loved ones on the opposing side, he is overwhelmed by grief, confusion, and despair. Krishna does not dismiss these feelings. Instead, he teaches Arjuna and us that emotions are real, but they do not have to control us. True strength is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to feel deeply and still choose wisely. The second lesson is the courage to admit confusion. Arjuna does something remarkable. He turns to Krishna and says, "I do not know what to do." This moment of surrender is not weakness, it is the beginning of wisdom. In our own lives, admitting that we are lost, that we need guidance, is often the hardest and most important step we can take. The Gita teaches us that seeking clarity is an act of courage. The third lesson reveals the eternal nature of the soul. Krishna tells Arjuna that the soul, the Atma, was never born and will never die. The body is temporary, but the self is eternal. This teaching is transformative. When we understand that we are more than our physical form, more than our circumstances, more than our fears, we begin to live with a kind of fearlessness that the world cannot shake. The fourth lesson is about embracing change. Krishna uses the metaphor of seasons. Just as summer always follows spring, change is woven into the fabric of life. We cannot stop it, but we can choose how we meet it. Resistance to change creates suffering. Acceptance of change creates flow. The Gita invites us to become like a tree with deep roots, flexible in the storm, but unshaken at the core. The fifth lesson teaches us to handle discomfort. Krishna says that the person who can remain steady in pleasure and in pain, who is not destroyed by hardship nor intoxicated by success, that person is truly wise. This is not about being emotionally numb. It is about building the inner capacity to sit with discomfort, to move through it without being defined by it. Emotional resilience is a skill, and the Gita is its manual. The sixth lesson reframes death itself. Krishna offers a radical perspective. Death is not an end, it is a transformation. Like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, the soul simply moves on. This teaching was meant to free Arjuna from his fear of loss, and it can free us too. When we stop clinging to permanence, we begin to live more fully in each moment. The seventh lesson is about performing our dharma, our duty. Arjuna is a warrior. His dharma is to fight for what is right. Krishna tells him that abandoning his duty out of fear is not compassion, it is confusion. In our lives, dharma means showing up fully for the roles we are called to play, as parents, professionals, friends, citizens, even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. The eighth lesson is the practice of equanimity. Krishna introduces the concept of samatvam, treating success and failure, gain and loss, pleasure and pain with the same steady gaze. This is not indifference. It is inner freedom. When we are no longer at the mercy of external outcomes, we discover a peace that does not depend on the world going our way. And so we arrive at the practical lessons that tie it all together. From chapter 2, verses 1 through 38, the Gita gives us a complete toolkit for life. Acknowledge your emotions, but do not let them drive. Seek wisdom when you are lost. Remember that you are more than your body. Welcome change as a teacher. Build resilience through practice. Release your fear of endings, show up for your duty, and cultivate equanimity. The unshakable stillness at the center of the storm. These are not just ancient teachings. They are instructions for being human, fully and freely, right now.